Hey, some Christians want to learn to pray like Jesus. I want to learn to pray like Prime. Coach Prime, baby. I believe.
Oh, no.
Play my theme music. Matthew, be honest, man.
I can't take this guy seriously in these sunglasses. I can't do it.
Listen, I
can't
keep
do
the
it.
receipts, bro. I keep receipts. I believe.
Oh, my gosh.
For real, Deion Sanders comes on, Coach Prime,
Right.
signs on to Coach Colorado at the beginning of the year, upsets TCU.
Yep.
Were you on the Colorado bandwagon?
Oh, I was on the Colorado bandwagon way before he ever beat TCU. I was on the Prime bandwagon just because he's absolutely hilarious. Like, I just think he's so funny, the way that he motivates his players, the speech, the pregame speeches, the sunglasses. I mean, he's got his own brand. The sunglasses, like, that is his. It says Prime on there. It's just... It baffles me how great he is at motivating his players. I was just watching the pregame speech from that TCU game, and it just like fires me up, juices me up. I'm like, let's go! I'm ready to go play for Colorado. Like,
Yeah, he's got these.
I love it.
He's got these sayings like "I believe." Like,
Yep.
do you believe?
Yep.
Well, I believe. I remember him asking in the presser when they won the first game and they
Yeah.
upset TCU. He looked at the
believe
presser and
now?
said, "Do you believe now?" And like he's got these sayings printed on his wall.
He ain't
and
hard to find. He
Ain't
has
hard
that
to
one on
find.
his sweatshirts.
Yep. Keep the receipts. He remembers what people said to people that didn't buy into it, that didn't believe. And when you talk about the pregame speech, man, I love it when a coach gets the team fired up.
Right.
Like those little phrases, like I believe, like
Yeah.
Coach Prime, like kept the receipts.
Yep.
Like we remember those things.
Yeah.
What if, just throw this out there, what if before we prayed, we could have like a pep talk from the coach? What if like we had our own version of Coach Prime step in before we hit the field of prayer, before we even bow our heads and close our eyes and begin to communicate with God? What if there was a way that we could give ourselves a pep talk?
Yeah.
Something from that. I'm not talking about like self-motivation. I'm talking about something from the word that would be a perspective shift for us. Like get our minds moving in the right direction.
I mean, we do this all the time in our life in general. Think about like if you're somebody who's in January, like this is the year I'm gonna work out this year. If that's you, like one of the things you do is you have music playing when you're going to the gym because you've got some sort of motivation. I don't know anybody listening to like Beethoven and Bach in the gym. Like most people are listening to something that's going to motivate them, that helps them.
Hey, listen, if you're listening to this podcast while you're on the treadmill, you are an absolute savage.
Yes,
right?
yes.
You're in it to win
it's your
it.
cool down. You're walking like you're walking now. It's not cardio anymore. Oh man, but I mean, we do that in that area. We do it like when you're cooking or cleaning the house. You want to listen to music. It's something that we just do as people, and that sometimes we got to kind of psych ourselves up to do it. We got to get ourselves excited, hype ourselves up right before we do something. I give myself pep talks all the time before I have to do something hard that I don't want to do, whether it's like working out or whatever. I'm like, all right, let's go. You got this. Like, read through something in the Bible that a promise of God. But I think that's a great point that you make. Isaiah 35, verse 5 or verse 4, starts out, say to those with an anxious heart, be strong. Fear not. And the different translations have it differently. Mine says, behold your God. Some translations say, because God. I think no matter what, that would be a great start to prayer right there. It's just saying, all right, here we go. Be strong. Fear not. Look, God, ...
Yeah.
Or because God, ... Or see God, ... Like that would get me fired up for prayer right there.
Yeah, because think about when we pray, how many times do we pray? We're anxious. We're
Right.
afraid. There's so much uncertainty. And that affects, like that attitude and posture affects even how we come into prayer.
Yeah.
And I'm all for desperation. I believe that being desperate in front of God is a game changer.
Yeah.
But what if we could give ourselves reminders like this? Instead of walking into prayer just completely overwhelmed in fear, what if we said, like you said, don't be afraid.
Right.
Do not fear. Because why? Man, because of your circumstances? Well, no, because my circumstances are wilding out right now. Like, it's terrible.
Yeah.
My back's against the wall. Why? Why not be afraid? Well, because God.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you understand who you get ready to talk to?
Right.
Do you know who God is? Well, be strong. Well, why? Because of God. I mean, come on. Remind yourself of how many times God's already provided. Remind yourself of all the things that God's already done. Remind yourself of the ways that God's hand has moved in your life before. And when you give yourself that pep talk, all right, Nathan, before I say anything, let me I need to remind myself of some things. Don't be afraid. Be strong. Not because it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
Not because you can figure it out. Not because it's not as bad as you think it is. Nope. Because God.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, I mean, I think this right here, it speaks a lot of truth in the sense that a lot of times I go running into prayer, help, right? And I'm like, please God, like I'm desperate. And it just starts out with, oh no, I'm frazzled. My mind's going all over the place, especially when there's something that you're praying for that's not just like it's just my normal everyday prayer or praying before a meal, but like something's going on in life. And so you're struggling, back's against the wall, everything's going crazy. And so you just go running in like, I've got to, I haven't told you this yet. So I thought the church was on fire the other day. Now
you didn't tell me.
Yeah. This was back in December. And so we had our Christmas lights up, at church and everything. And I'm driving. It's dark, right? Because it's winter. So it's like 5 o'clock and it's dark. And somebody was burning something in Rural Hall. The leaves or something.
That's the official smell of Rural Hall, isn't it? Like burning leaves?
Burning leaves. People are burning leaves all the time in Rural Hall. And so there was smoke and it smelled like that. But as I drove up, there was like a haze at the church. It was right by the church. It was right across the street from the church where people were burning leaves. And somebody had left the light on, one of the lights on, where all the lights in that room are Edison bulbs. And so it had an orange glow to it. Y'all, I'm saying I panicked. Oh my goodness. I bet I broke the transmission in my car because it wasn't even stopped. And I was throwing it in park, ran out, got my keys out, probably broke the door trying to unlock it. I went running in there. And the whole time I'm going, Jesus, no, Jesus, no. I'm like yelling, Lord, please, Lord. No. And we can't do this. It was in the green room. Like, we got expensive stuff in there. Like, come on, God, this is your church. Like, help us out. And we just left the lights on. But still, that's how I approach prayer a lot of times, is just, Jesus, no, Jesus, please, help. What if we just stopped and said, hey, God's got this. Like, look, don't be afraid. Say to those with an anxious heart, be strong, don't fear, behold your God. Look at God, because God's about to. You've seen God in the past. Like that, I think for me, had I remembered that in December, man, it would have been such a calmer experience of putting out a fire that wasn't even existent. But I think that was just one of those things where I realized, like, man, sometimes I just freak out. It's like, what if I just took a moment to remind myself of who God is? How much differently would I react to circumstances, to situations, to times when I know I need to pray?
Isaiah essentially channels his inner Coach Prime here. And he says, be strong. Don't be afraid. Do you believe? Do you believe that? Do you believe that you don't have to fear because of who God is? I believe. And then he ends it with says, because God. You know what Isaiah just said? Hey man, I kept the receipts. I remember what God's done. I look back. I know what he said. I know what he's done. I know how faithful he is. I believe I've kept the receipts. And he says, man, it's time to pray. Hit him with the shador. It's time to pray. Hey, I hope you can give yourself a pep talk today. Give it to yourself every day. Look at yourself in the mirror before you pray and say, hey, I believe this about God. I believe that he's faithful. I believe that he knows me. I believe that he loves me. I believe that he's been too faithful to me to be afraid now, for me to doubt now. Why? Not because of you, but because God. He kept the receipts. You want to play a little music? Put God's theme music on right before you start praying. Pray like Jesus and like Coach Prime and like Isaiah. It's time to lean in.